So anyway, we're excited tonight that we do have Stefanie with us. And Stefanie, a lot of you don't realize this, but she speaks 4 languages. She is a sun in Gemini, and she is multifaceted. Astrology is her 5th language. So she has all of this background and is expanding it now into a country where she actually has a home that she built. So it's fascinating, her story, and hopefully you embellish on a little bit of that tonight before you get into it. So without further ado, let's have Stefanie come up.
Yeah, hello everyone out there in Zoom land and here. So yeah, as you know, I have 1 foot in Mexico and 1 here. And 2003 was when I went to Mexico. Yeah, so in 2003 I went to Mexico to get married and come and live in California, but I ended up living there for 12 years full time. And then I came back in 2015. And I try to share my screen now because I brought you guys some pictures also. So we talk about Mayan astrology, and you would think, okay, so there comes this German, and what does she know about Mayan astrology and all that? Yeah, as I said, I've lived there for like 12 years full time and intensely. So I just didn't go there, and there are like shamans also that are more the commercial ones. But then what I did was I really met the traditional dancers and shamans and medicine men and all this. So it was really eye-opening. And this is, for example, how it looks like when we had one of these ceremonies. My boyfriend was into astrology also, and when I saw his library, I got really deep into astrology. And shortly after, I took my first NCGR class also. I have created tours also for seniors and wheelchair travelers in Mexico, in the Cancun area, and in 2008. So I worked with the Maya communities and brought them tourism directly to them, so they get the direct income. And of course, I picked up a lot how they are connected with the cycles, with nature, with the energies and all this, compared with the kind of superficial Western lifestyle that I knew from Germany, and also, I mean, in these Western countries like this one. And it was a nice balance. I worked very intensely with Arguelles calendar. And so he has 4 weeks, and we go into all the details. So I just touch on this a little bit right now. So I lived with it, and with the day signs and the weeks, they're called Trecenas, and just checked out like how is the energy, and compared with my life what the calendar said. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I had a lot of exposure to chiefs. My boyfriend was the traditional conchero dancer, which is like they do pilgrimages. So you go and meet with other dancing groups. And I want this. Oh, yeah. And so we went and we had pilgrimages, and it was beautiful. Here, the next one actually. Okay, my face is kind of covering it. Here we go. So you can see the whole screen, but you might want to zoom in. Yeah, but I just expand it a little bit. Top right, you see like an altar. So this is what a ceremony would look like. And then the upper top left ones are when I went out to the Mayan communities, and I created, we had like contracts. Once they invited me and they set me on the mechanical typewriter, here, type this up, and then they have made plans with me, like how we wanted to do the tours. Here you see the Yucatan Peninsula and Cozumel in front. So that's my neighborhood. And on the bottom here in the center-ish, these 2 men in white, these are shamans. So they are H-men or J-men. And the arrangement on the floor is actually a calendar. And on the bottom, this is one of the caves, the underground river system. It's like a connection from cave to cave, and you can dive occasionally from one cave to the other. Just a little bit about the area and what no, you know, I like to have the access to jump back and forth also, because we have to do some jumping. If you're okay with it. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So history and back. And yeah, and you know what? I'm hard of hearing on one ear, so I should do that exactly. So history and background. Mayan astrology, it's time-based, it's pure time-based. So they give like energy stamps on time chunks, and it's like a clockwork, precision clockwork, and they don't use birth time, not the location either. So you're born between sunrise and sunset, and I did a little bit of so I took birth data from some of the people that we know these days, and okay, so this guy was on the like in Europe, and I figured, okay, so it was still 1:30 in Mexico time, because in those days when the Maya were there, as I mentioned here, it's in the first millennium BC when the Olmec kind of came up with this system. So of course they didn't know about time zones probably, and how to convert, and summertime and wintertime and all that. So they considered the day. The day was the anchor point. So that was the main measure, as we can see later in a moment here. So, and no location either, because it was their location. So they didn't really focus on what people would do in China, or like who was born in China or so. So next year, okay, I have a little bit of, you know, I think now is a good moment before we dive deep. I want to give credits also to Bruce Schofield and Barry Orr, who I used, he was one of my like milestones. I'll hold it in the camera also. Of course, that book looks like really worn. And this drawing is, how can you say, like an illustration. Well, here, this, okay. And then this is like a cartoonist. It's very helpful, and it's not for children, let me tell you. And so this makes it really easy to understand this complex calendar system. So credit to these, and my friend who brought me the book of Bruce Schofield. Okay. More contacts and links later, but I just wanted to give credit to these guys because I'm using those a lot. Hey, Steve-O and Krista and everyone out there. So, so that you can see how the Maya who sits on the bottom, and it's like really the east, north, west, south. So that's the clockwise direction that a lot of the is their main order, if you want. So the next is just a bird's eye view of the system. So we have 20 day signs, and Argüelles that I mentioned earlier, he calls them seals. Then you have the Trecenas, which are like weeks, and Argüelles calls these tones. And then we have the 4 cardinal directions that we use also, that I just mentioned. Then we have 4 year bearers. And Argüelles calls, or he shows them in colors, like he only mentions the colors, so he doesn't really type them out in his calendar. Then we have 9 night lords and 4 Venus phases. So those are the aspects that you look at. And then the calendars on the right side, you have the Tzolkin, which is the sacred calendar, 260 days. And we go into detail, I just mentioned this now. And then the Hab, that is a civil calendar, like our solar calendar, 365 days. And that is composed of 20 day signs times 18 Uinales. We look at those also. They are kind of like months. plus 5 days that were unlucky days, and we go into that detail also. And the third one is the long count, the famous long count that ended on December on the solstice of 2012, and that is 5,125 years. And let me move this up here. And then so now we look at the day signs, and they give information about like the inner, the core, one's essence, character, personality, soul, psyche. And in most cases, it's really related to your fingers and toes. Even in Mexico, when I worked with the tours or so, sometimes they call each other, hey, ¿dónde están tus 20? Where are your 20? Where are your fingers and toes? So it's very normal to say that. Or as Orr and Schofield mentioned, because they worked a lot with shamans and timekeepers, that they think it could be also related to a biorhythm. So then each day sign is connected with a direction, east, north, west, south, as I said. And then now we get to the day signs. They're called Imish, Ik, Agbal, Kan, Chik, Chan, Kimi. So I have not memorized all of these myself. So it's something that I'm getting my feet wet with also. But okay, so we take the direction, the cardinal direction, and we take the day sign, and then we fuse them. So now we put them together. So that means the first is Imish, and it is the first direction east. Ik, the second, gets the north. Akbal gets the west. Kan gets the south. Chikchan starts again with east. Kimi gets north again. So you see the order, right? Does it make sense? Good. And so here we see them in the table, of course. And what is important that comes up later also, there are 5 stages. And I find them kind of hierarchical also. So there's in the bottom, it becomes more clear when I show you the Arguelles calendar. And so these 20-day signs, they run and run endlessly. Then I know it's a lot of text and I don't read it all off. You get the document. So I sent everybody the slides as a PDF form. My pleasure. You just have to, I can just post it in Meetup, or you email Laura, or I can put my email, so we can do it one way or the other. So you have them in the order. I fit only 10 on here also, Imish, Ik, Akbal, Kan, Chikchan, and so on. And then what I did is, for this lecture, there's a lot of stuff out there about Mayan astrology. Not everything is usable. Some is like superficial. So I went and I collected, and then what kind of, where I saw a red line, I zimmered it down. So to make it bite size, and I just gave kind of bullet points here. So it can be like a go-to, that if you don't want to read like large texts or so, because in Schofield's book, of course, he has like more, he is elaborating on the day signs and Trecenas and all that. So, but you have always, when I did the compilation of the elements of the characteristics, I figured like, this is like totally like this sign or that sign. So I really drew the line. Later on, I saw also that Schofield does that with the Trecenas, I think, with one other thing, or the Time Lords. I don't remember, but we get there anyway. So yeah, you see the different delineation of the signs, and I think I don't want to go into the detail here. Maybe for the examples when we look at birth data. 20 yeah, 20 days per sign. That means 20 signs, and each sign is per day. So each day has a sign, and a day represents a sign. Exactly. And so here are the other 20. And then I have a little bit of visuals also. This is from this book, Kovo, from this illustrator. By the way, he's in Colombian. He's not even Mexican, but he has a very funny way, and I think he breaks it down clearly. That's my intent, that I make it really understandable and graspable. And so we have them again. You get the document, as I say, so you can see the little speech bubbles and what it means. So we have the first 10 and the second set of 10. And so it's like these like days. No, I would rather say the sign is only like sunrise to sunset. So, and it's like from sunrise to sunset, the same, like Chuen, for example, is from sunrise to sunset, and they don't subdivide like the sign, the sign that is in the Western for a month. Then you have the 10 days, 10 days, 10 days, but they don't do this. So it's from sunset to sunrise to sunset, the same sign, but it interfaces with something that we get to in the next stage now. So this is just the second set of the day signs that makes it 20. And now this is the second layer. That means layer second crank in the clockwork.
So let me understand this, because I know everybody else is. So it's 20 degrees
No,
for one day, but 20.
yeah, don't think degrees. No degrees. It's only time. It's only time based. They don't do any measurements and longitudes. There's no measurement. It's only by the movement of planets. And the most important is, of course, the sun. Oh, okay. Thank you. So the most important is the sun. And that is, as I said, sunrise to sunset. The whole chunk of day is under the same one sign, exactly. Now, what are we doing with night births? It's or time zones from somebody from Italy, for example. I would read both signs and see also what does it correspond to in terms of Mexican time, like Mexico City time zone in today's time, because in the old days, as I said, they didn't really look at what happens in Europe or so.
Well, what happens
at night? I have looked at, for example, this one example that I'm showing that was 1:30. So I took him in the same, like before sunrise, but the same sign still. That's something, it's so new, and I honestly say I'm not an expert, not yet. It could be, maybe, but I have to get my feet wet with it also, and also the delineations, like, okay, does that make sense? And look at in this case of a night birth, whether it's wee hours, the early hours, or late night, like 10 p.m. or so. I would experiment with it. It takes experimentation because it's so unused, and also difficult to find people even in Mexico who use it regularly. And yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe we collect questions later. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. Top left is Mac. Okay, Trecenas. That is, can I click this up? Yes, wonderful. Trecenas, as I said, they're kind of like weeks, or in England, they say fortnights. I don't think you use it in the US. And so it's a chunk, another chunk of time. So you have the day signs, they go endlessly. And then the Trecenas are like a 13-day time frame that the day sign falls into. So your day sign falls within a 13-day time slot, time frame. So to the right, we see this. For the fat print is 1 ahau. Ahau. Fat print. Don't tell me this is not existent. I know there's a lot of Stefism probably in this document also, but as a foreigner, you may do this without getting in trouble. Okay, so ahau, then 1 ben, I have to move the faces. The next fat print is 1 kimi, 1 kawak, 1 eb. Do you see that? That it is a little like a thicker? This is a little thicker, like fat print. And this is the beginning of the Trecena. Trece in Spanish is 13. And that's what it is. It's a chunk of 13 days that consists of individual day signs, but they keep it, so it's ongoing. Like the day signs is ongoing and the Trecenas are ongoing. So and they always start with 1. Does it make sense? So you have a Trecena that is, for example, 1 Ahau, and then you have 2 is Imish, 3 is Ik, until you get to 13, which is 13 Eb. Do you see that in the first block?
Would that relate to the lunar cycle?
Yes, 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 exactly. And that's what I say here also. The Trecena is a 13-day cycle, and it, let's see, we had that, I just said that, it functions similar to the moon. And because it describes also the emotional side of a person, and also it rules the public, because everybody born within this 13-day time frame somewhat has the same collective vibe, or they pick up the vibes. It's like the outer planets, for example, they're more generational. So on a very small scale, the Trecena, you have more people born within this 13-day time frame. Different day signs are born in that 13-day time frame. So they all have the same kind of vibe. They're all the same collective interest that is set by the first sign. In this case, for example, 1 Ahau, and then the second 1 Ben. So the whole 13-day time block has the flavor or the tone of 1 Ben, the following 1 Kimi. And then, of course, then we would go back then to the signs, and then we look at Kimi. Okay, what is Kimi about? It's death, all, world bridger, sacrifice. So you know, kind of, okay, so this is what's going on in that week, what people are about, what people are like, what they think, what they feel, how their emotional life is. And then with the next following Trecena, it will be Manik. So that is then the theme for that 13-day time frame.
So each one of the 13 days has an archetype that predicts.
That's it, exactly, that's it. That, yeah, not predicts, but gives an energy, gives a characteristic, a quality of time. Exactly. So, and then coming back to what you said about the moon. So the moon, also subconscious, collective, and public, and it is an interesting correlation, because the average motion of the moon is 13 degrees or 13 degrees 20 minutes, and in Vedic, it's the okay. So the 27 lunar mansions in Vedic astrology, they also measure 13 degrees and 20 minutes each. And then there are 13 lunations in the year, so that there's like a connection.
But that's also the medium length that the moon moves in the 1 day.
Exactly. Yes, that's what I mentioned with the motion of the moon, the 13 and 20 minutes, 13 degrees, 20 minutes. Exactly. And so it's just Stefism also, when you divide the 365-day year, whether you call it the Harp calendar or our good old solar year, you divide it by 13, you get 28 days, and that is the average menstruation cycle and the Chinese lunar month. So a lot of connections with the moon there. And so in Mayan astrology, or probably in all the Americas, there's a lot of gods that carry the load, that carry that are kind of responsible for the day, for the quality, for the moment, for the time frame. And these 13 numbers of the Trecena, each of these days have a meaning also. So each day within the 13-day time frame has a job, if you want. So I probably don't want to go through all of them. Of course, I want to say that a lot of times they pictured it as a tent. So it's kind of like ascending peak and descending. So as if it's like a process. So you start out, one is always beginning and positive, because you have a new slate and you start fresh and everything is still possible. And then, ooh, there comes the obstacle from the left, from the right, and daubed contrast. So I thought also 2 is interesting, because duality is daubed, and so those are unfortunate times. The number 2, whenever the number 2 is connected with a day sign, not so lucky, and so on and so on. I leave it in the document, but I don't want to go into the detail right now. And I want to just point out 7 is the midpoint, basically. So it's like the halfway there, triumph, excellence, and then it goes down again. I found also the last 3 days, they are really fortunate. So it's really, for example, the very last number, the 13, is like it brings everything from the previous number. So it's like, we made it. It's like an accomplishment or like a sacred, it's the sacred number.
Is this predictive?
You can, yes, you can. It depends. Do you want to look to the past? And I did a couple of examples also, and you can look ahead. And it needs fine tuning though, and of course working practically with this to have. See.
Okay. I was going to ask a question, but I want to think it out.
Okay. All right. Okay. So then, that's the 13 time lords, the number lords. So we had the 20-day signs. Now we have the 13 lords of the numbers. And now we take a look at how, I hear a little bit of an echo, or is it?
Let me get this right. I need to correlate this in my mind. I know everybody else is thinking the same thing. So you have the 20 signs, and you have the week lord, and then you have the 13.
Yes, basically 3 components.
3 components.
3 components. That means the
Okay.
day sign. Is it my echo? Okay, good. Alrighty.
I just turned on the mic here. So
I see. Oh, I see. Okay. 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 So Jose Argüelles, and I talk a little more about them at the end when I give the links and how you can contact these guys and find more information about these people. He's of course, he's Mexican origin. That means his descendancy is from Mexico, but I think he's even born in the US. You met him personally. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I know. I know, 2011, exactly. But he was out there. And when I lived in Mexico, there was such a wave. In the late 80s, it started with the Convergence conference and all this. People were like really fired up with the 2012 end date of the calendar. But anyway, yes, exactly. But you can see how he compresses what we just looked at. We looked at the signs. That is the in the right picture, the 20 seals. So the left is a calendar, and then on the right you see it's like the red, white, blue, green, or yellow, green, right? You see that color coded kind of table, right? On the very left you have the day signs. So he has them all underneath in this order, and he colors them. So you have red, white, and usually it's black. In Maya it's black, but he uses blue and yellow. And so this is his order of the directions, but we get to the directions. I don't want to take like confuse you guys, but we have the signs here, and I move the faces to look to the right of that same picture. There you see the 13 tones, and it says like A, B, C, or is it A, C, G, H. So the 13 tones are the Trecena. So he calls it tones, and then you see, I think I can blow it up a little. So you see a dot, you see 2 dots, 3 dots, 4 dots. A dot means 1 in Maya language. Line means 5. So a line would be 5, and 1 dot is 6. 2 lines will be 10. And then, so basically at the end, you have 2 lines, that is 10, 1, 2, 3, 13. So this is how he does it. And in a way, I like it because a tone is like, the moon gives you like a tone, and it's something that it can be like not sublime, not so obvious. But he compresses it because he also shows the red, white, blue. So he has 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels, and we get to the levels. So I want to show you how he compresses everything into one little, like a little printout that everybody who worked with this is that you print it out, and then you have your little personal spell. And then on the left side is the actual calendar. And I have today's calendar. I blow it up a little. And that is today is September 14. Jiminy, here. So it's the 23 where I circle. Can you see where I circle with my cursor circling? The blue thing that looks like an eye. So that is the symbol, and then you have a 2 on top. So you know, okay, so it's the tone is 2. What is tone? 2 is lunar. So, but I don't want to complicate it, just that you get a little bit of an idea how Arguelles does it. And you can go on his website. I give this link later on, and you can go on the website, and there's like a tutorial also. And if you want to check it out. So this one is when we put the day sign and the Trecena together. This is what we used at that one fire ceremony where the elders were, the 2 gentlemen in white clothes that I mentioned on the photos. So this is in the yellow ring, you have the day signs. So you have 20 day signs. And inside, in the inner ring, you have the Trecena. So basically the week is inside, the day is in the yellow. And again, the 20 signs are in the squares at the outer edge of this white calendar. And then I blow it up also a little bit. You see they used like a washer and a screw, so you can actually turn this. And then there's on the top, it says thoughts, and that is one of the Uinales that we also get to. Don't get scared by all these crazy words that I'm using. It's just when you read them a couple of times, they get like more familiar. Okay, so we had the day signs, we had the Trecena. Now we look at the year, because the year is also of course important. In what year are you born? Is it like a good year? Is it like violent? And is there upheavals in the folk or in the civilization? So here again we have the 4 directions: east, north, west, south, clockwise again, and then the traditional meaning by the Maya and by the Aztec. What does the direction, what signification has it? At each ceremony they have, probably you remember from Mazatzin, when they blow the conch shell, they have their order, all directions, and some even go center, top, and bottom. But the basic thing is east, north, west, south, and each has a meaning. Schofield and Orr, in their book, they, based on the research that they did, they gave for the mundane view, because here I only look at the mundane. They have their delineation of it, but they are also it's like a whole thing. Of course, I cannot print it in here. I just wanted to give you guys bullet points and make it easy and bite-sized, as I said. So I'm looking at only the mundane, and they differ a little bit from the traditional. I like, when I do this kind of research, I like when it all makes sense. I look here, oh yeah, okay, so that is the same, cool, it makes sense, that it's kind of fitting together. But if it's not, then it's kind of frustrating, and you see, okay, then you're staring at it and try to find, there must be like a connecting line or so. And it is more understandable when you look at the whole meaning of the directions. Then the year bearer itself, they only use 4 year bearers that are responsible to give an energy for the year. So it's Kaban, Ik, Manik, Eb. They're always connected with their direction. East is always Kaban, north is always Ik, west is always Manik, south is always Eb. And then the year bearer has a meaning for itself. So the direction has a meaning and the year bearer has a meaning. In the middle, I just squeezed Schofield, what he thinks. I thought it's good to have. And okay, so we have the day signs, we have the Trecena, we have the directions, we have the year bearers. Now we look at the night lords. Night lords are like the shadow side, your shadow side. 9 night lords, and so again, they have meaning. Everybody has a job. There are even more like god names and their meaning. but not that it is not so much consistent. So I don't want to use it if it doesn't make too much sense. So I went with the majority of researchers and Mayaists and everybody who works with the Mayan calendar and all the culture of the Maya. So they call it G, God. I don't know, probably because of God, and they number them. And so then they give them a direction also. So you see the importance of numbers and directions. And so you put it together. And of course, I collected all the meanings again, and I tried to simmer it down to give just bullet points. And you see that two lords of the underworld share one direction. And I don't want to go too much into the detail, and just want to point out that two gods share one direction, and then only the first god, the G1, has the center and supposedly is the most powerful. So if you have that, then you're like really in your power. And okay, so now that we saw the 13 gods of the numbers and the 9 gods of the underworld, for me, it makes complete sense because I lived there for so long and I have run the tours. I have listened to so many tour guides in the ruins. You have no idea. So I have seen this tree, saber tree, like a gazillion of times. And for me, it's second nature that 13 gods of the upper world and then the 9 gods of the underworld. You see the zigzagging. So it's 13 to get to the point, to the top point, and it's 9 stairs or zigzags to get to the bottom. And so is the volume still good?
Everything is fine.
Good.
And they can see everything on that picture, so don't worry about that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so that is the sacred saber of the tree of life, because you connect with the trunk, you connect the heaven and the earth and the underworld. Everything in the underworld is kind of like shady and not presented, obviously, of course. Okay, so we had the day signs with the Trecenas, we have the directions, we have the what did we have, the year bearers and the night lords. Now Venus, you will be surprised, but it was male for the Maya, and it was like really a feared planet. It was not the loving Venus and about love and attraction and all this. No, not so. And so the Maya looked at the 4 phases and to time events, even though it was feared, but that, hey, it was a great timer, they said. And Schofield even mentions that based on their research, they thought that it was how people would show up in social life, how they would show up in society, how they would, their role in a birth chart. And okay, so we have the inferior conjunction between Earth and Sun, then the morning star, superior behind the sun, and then the evening star. And then of course their meaning each. I want to so good in time. So I want to tell you guys the little story, because that makes complete sense when you look at this order of the phases. The arrival of the god Quetzalcoatl. There is a couple of different stories, and it's like the core is kind of the same, but there are different nuances. So the god Quetzalcoatl came to Earth. Some say it was like a birth, like with Mother Mary, that so Mother Mary, that mysteriously she gave birth to Quetzalcoatl. Others say he came on shore with a boat, and he was like a pale with beard, like a European looking person, but he was a god and he was like really popular. He created a kingdom. Everything was fine. It was brilliant. Everything was like, everyone was happy. And at one point the energy tipped over. People became like hedonistic and things were not going so good anymore. And then they say there are these 3 like sorcerers or deities that come, and they go like, hey, Quetzalcoatl, have you looked in the mirror? And so they put him a mirror, and he goes like, oh my God, this is how I look like. And I have to say Quetzalcoatl. Quetzal is a bird and it's feather. So it's the feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl, and the Mayan equivalent is Kukulkan. So it's the same, feathered snake. And so he says like, oh, I cannot believe that people really, they treated me so nice as the king, as the god here. And then he says, the sorcerer said, don't worry, we fix you. We can arrange you. And then they did this, and then they created a meal for him. And there they differ also. So some say they served him human meat and gave him pulque. Pulque is schnapps, what's that, like a shot. And then he ate it. And another story goes, he made love to his sister because he got drunk on the pulque. So he was, he committed incest, or he ate human meat. And when he realized that, he went, and then he went into the next stage, the morning star stage. And you see it's a developmental process. So this is then the temptation to break ethical boundaries, falling from grace, and strong personal drive, and all these things. So that is what happened when he committed incest or ate the human meat. And then the next phase is the judgment. Some say other gods judged Quetzalcoatl, and then yet other stories say no, he judged himself, and he remembered the good ethics, and he realized what he did, and he faced the darkness within. And then the last stage is really inside humility. Then they say so sometimes they say, okay, he went on the ship and then sailed away from the east coast, and others say he cremated himself just to punish himself for what he did wrong. And then the cycle starts over again. Then you get a new start, new slate, new beginning, and then maybe this time you don't fall from grace. So that's the deal with Venus. So here, so we go one more time in the directions and see how they are linked with the elements that we know from Western astrology. Cardinal direction, east, north, west, south again. And then we have fire, earth, air, and water that are the connections. And we know the Western signs, Aries, Capricorn, Libra, and Cancer. So we have the cornerstones of the universe. And here also we have again the colors red, white, black, and yellow. Red, oops, okay, so red, white, black, and yellow. It's super small, I know, but you have it in the document and in the print. Yeah, here, the colors. So this is also when you saw at the very beginning, and now I have my, yeah, I can go back. So you have the maize, red, yellow, black, and well, and then white, yes. And then it has the same colors are present again. So back here. And we were here. Okay, so here, this is an original picture from the Madrid Codex, from the Mayan, from the codices. Probably you guys have heard of that, right? The Maya codices. There are 4, and one in Paris, Dresden, Germany, Madrid, and they're not sure. So it could be Mexico City or New York City. I'm not quite sure. I think it's a shame. I mean, that they're still in other countries. They should all be in Mexico, but that's just me. Okay, so and then we have the year bearer again. So they show up again here. We had them earlier. So now, so that's the components. Now we look at the single calendars. The Tzolk'in, 260 days, and that's the 20-day signs, and the 13 Trecenas, that gives us 260. It could be because that's the human gestation period, and it relates to the Venus cycles also, because the morning and evening phases are each 263 days. So, and then here's a very interesting point: 260 days, Tzolk'in calendar, divided by 4 gives us 65 burner days that we look at below. And if we divide 260 by 5, that's a magic number. The 52 is when the Tzolk'in and the Hab complete one round. So they come back to the first day where they started. And not an eclipse cycle, not that I know. No, not that I know. I'll look it up. And of course, when it meets the HAB calendar, of course, then it meets with our 365 good old solar calendar every 52 years or 73 repetitions. I hope this is not too like brain twisting. So 73, if you take 73, multiply by the 260 of the Tzolk'in calendar, you get like 18,900 or what it was, I don't remember, and divided by the solar calendar, you get to 52 years. So my boyfriend at that time, when he turned 52, he had like really a lot of curly hair. He shaved himself bald. And he made big changes. And everybody in his family, are you crazy? But it's when people make changes, and they did a lot of changes to the buildings and pyramids also. So burner days, I think this is brilliant. I think we should do this as a humanity. So you see on the left side, also credit to Bruce Schofield for this wheel that he came up with. So it always starts Imish, and then the signs go until you get to the last one, Ahau. But he, okay, so they're quartals, and like in it's like a wheel. It's just a 260 sign wheel and not a 360-degree wheel. So every 65 days, because we divide it by 4, right? 260 signs divided by 4 gives us 65 days. And they found in their research, Schofield and Orr, that these are days when they had ceremonial meetings to realign with their like good ethics and their purpose and the tribal concerns, and made sure they're all still on the same side. I think when we would do this, whether it's in a marriage, in companies and all this, I think people would be not fall off the good path that fast. And so the start date, based on what they found, that it is starting with the long count, is making the start date for these burner days, not the first. It's always the first image, first, like the first sign. Also, you would think it would start with 1, but it does not. It starts actually with 4, not with 1. So it is what it is. This is how it is handed down. Okay, so that was the Tzolk'in. Now we look at the HAB. That's the civil calendar. It has 365 days, like our solar calendar. And so you have 20 day signs. And this time you multiply by the 18 Uinales. We look at those. And that gives you 360 days. But you have still 5 days. So those are the Uayet, the so-called unlucky or ceremonial days. They were unlucky, and therefore they had ceremonies to like protect themselves and pray like crazy, so they're not like in disfavor by one of the unlucky gods or so. And also, okay, so there are 18 Uinales, and you can compare them with months. They don't have like 28 or 30 days, but they have 18 days. So this is their names, Pop, Wo, Zip, Sots, and we saw on the calendar with a screw in the middle, we saw there was also a marking Thots on the top. So that's one of these Uinales months. And also they had, of course, they were like deities or gods, so they had a meaning, each had a job also, and that gave a flavor. And that's what I wanted to mention, that so towards the classical period, so towards the end, not at the beginning, probably they were more like, no, it has to be this, it has to be that. So here they say, I found a lot that they say some start with 0 and some start with 1. So they also put numbers, of course, to these Uinales, and some did start with 0 and some with 1. Of course, then they end with either 19 or 20. I don't even know whether it's important. I just mentioned it, and I would use 1. I would start with 1 and go to 18. And so this is how it looks. You have these 2 cranks coming into each other. This on the right side is in the Museum of Maya culture that I took a photo. There you have the numbers also with the bars and dots. Okay, and then the third one is the long count. And that is interesting in that it is, the measure is 1/5 of the precession of the equinoxes. And And maybe one of you has picked up that we're so-called in the fifth wave. That's a lot of New Age bloggers and a lot of people in the New Age scene. They have been talking about this for the longest time, like way before 2012 even. So, and I don't know, I mean, maybe it's because it has a relation to the 5 stages. When I said there's like 4 signs, so you have 5 stages, and I think they come up still. So it is what it is. So they have these 5 sections in the long count. That means the long count is 1/5 of the precession. And okay, so the start date is 8/11/3014, and the end date is pretty much everybody is on the same side with this end date, except Lungold. He is I think from the US, even though his name is kind of Swedish, but maybe origin. But Kalleman is from Sweden, a professor, and the two of them, they have worked together also. So they came up with this October 28, 2011 date. And I'm personally not so inclined working with that date. And also Arguelles dropped the leap year. So he is always a sign short. That's basically why I kind of stopped working with this one, with his calendar. Okay, so time units, and I know it's late. I try to make it easy, and I hope that it all makes sense still. So twisting the numbers a little bit still. So a tun is 360 days. So it's almost a year, right? Almost a solar year. Okay, the next 5,200 tunes are 5,125 years. So that's the long count. So the long count is 5,200 tunes. And then we have that next one is called Katun, and that consists of 20 tunes. So 20, and we know a tun is 360 days, right? So 20 of them gives us 7,200 days. And if we want to look where are we in terms of the solar year that we're using today in the Gregorian, okay, so we divide it by 365, and that gives us almost 20 years, which is the Jupiter Saturn cycle. So they must have been aware of that. And then the last one, a Bak tun, is 20 tunes. So it's 20 times 20, that gives us 400. And then we multiply that by 316 because the one tun is 360. Does it still make sense? If not, you get the document and you can mull it over. It's kind of will make sense when maybe if we take the time. So 20 plus 20 times 20 is 400. We multiply that by 360. We get 144,000 days, and we divide it again by 365 because we want to see where is that, how does that relate to the 365 day calendar, our solar. And we get the great mutation when we're changing elements, when Jupiter, Saturn are changing elements. And then here on the right, we have another little image where on the right side, you can see how it corresponds with what we have in our Gregorian calendar. So let's put it to work. So you can use it in mundane. I looked at a date and personal analysis and planning, of course, planning, future, like forecasting. And then so Bruce Schofield, he designed charts like a planet, like a pyramid chart, or one that you can take the synodic cycle and see where are you in the synodic cycle between the planet you're looking at, like Mercury or whatever, and the sun, and you see how far advanced are you in the cycle, and then you count the days, and then you know where to put it in the cycle. I think I had it with the burner dates. Let me pop back here. So you have a wheel with the 20 signs, and then you just find out, okay, where is it in the conjunction, in the cycle start, and you count the day signs, and then you know where to put it in the sign. go back. Okay, so, and then this other guy, Lungold, he is not an astrologer. So, but he has looked at something called the Maya cross. So it's like a counting system, backwards, forwards, and then you can figure like past and present. So it's more like an oracle, like a tarot. And so here I'm taking a shot at the years here. So the past year. So I figured, okay, so these are, I don't want to read them yet all off, but I just want to give little bullet points about the year. So 2019 was the year before the big C19 event. So that's problems, that's what the gods, the deities are representing. So depth problems, initial luck goes bad. You will find it in the document. Good business and health, leaders' emotions leading to challenges. Maybe greed, because I mean well, I get there probably when I talk about the other date. So rain damaging crops and receiving useful advice. Everything that I put in italics is more or less my idea. So I think in general that politicians have too much of a self-interest. That's why I put greed. Okay, so 2020, solitude, lockdowns, gestation, initiation. It's the 9 lords of the underworld. Of course, the underworld is always considered like, oh, we don't want to look there. We like the ones that are on the top, the heavens, and we want to look up, right? And so danger of carnal temptation. And I don't know, is anyone familiar with spirit cooking? Huh? Yeah. For example, it's, I mean, I'm an 8th house Gemini with moon on and ascendant in Scorpio. So I'm really, I mean, I look at that stuff and I go like, wow, that this is possible. It's not that I worship it, but I'm aware of something like this existing. Creativity, fertility, abundance. But then look at this, 2020 was like, okay, so who's having an abundance? It's probably rather the pharma companies and not so much the small businesses, because they went almost bankrupt with the lockdowns. 21, so last year, changes, repeating cycles, reciprocity, semi-death. So that was the, I mean, C19 and vaccine side effects, a lot coming up, suiciding people, what's his name, Epstein, and I don't know, I saw a lot of like CEOs jumping out of the window. There were many people that were suicided or went and committed suicide themselves. Who knows? Okay, so let's see. In restrictions, C19 camps, like in Canada and Australia, restrictions, control, surveillance. Then we have 2022, this year, helpful divinity, bringing good luck, disclosures, exposures, galore. So that's, I mean, I think you are kind of witnessing the same. And for example, like 2 weeks ago, within 1 week, the big media houses in Germany, they were so exposed with all scandals, and they charge you a fee, like almost $20 to like per month for the public television, and they mistreated all the money, and it came up, and people say like, why should we pay you guys? Because you're putting it in your own pocket, you know. So stuff is coming out. Okay, so but also indictments a lot. I mean, what's his face? Durham, right? Indictments and crisis challenges. Oh, we had that. Okay, so let's move down here. Wild losses, illness, cloudy, evil, meetings, alliances. So there's a lot happening with this whole Ukraine thing, with the NATO, and also the borders moving back and forth and talking about borders, mine, yours, and the EU, I mean, they're in talks, they fall almost apart, and about money, they don't want to keep that euro sign alive anymore. They don't want to pay it anymore. No, we don't want to deal with this anymore. So they don't pay the, you know, you have like not a copyright, I'm lacking the word right now, but they say, no, we don't care anymore to protect this sign. So things are going to happen with finances. Okay, so then 2022, so that is what we had. And then 23, good omen, special for spiritual work, sacrifice. Okay, if it's for a good purpose, we all like to sacrifice maybe. and good for business and health. People take care maybe of more of themselves because they learned. I think so. And it's only my question. And it says also variable per the Mayan and Aztec. Leaders' emotion leading to challenges. You see, it's again south. And earlier in 2019, we had south also. So it repeats kind of, I'm just putting the bullet points, but we will have to work with it over and over to make our own fine tuning and expand and elaborate on it. And let's see. So I think maybe I just leave the rest in the document, 2024 sacred numbers. So now we're getting to the last numbers. They're always good. I remember when I mentioned earlier that they saw from 10 to 13, they liked the numbers. So they were more luck bringing and supportive. And then 25, we start the new cycle with 1 north, ik north wind, and start new company, fortunate. But also violent weather. So maybe when we start something new, maybe new currency system, maybe new, it's growing pain in a new system, but or a pole flip. Because I saw one Mayan book by a journalist, and it was not pretty. It was talk about atmospheric changes, that actually Earth's shape was changed. It was like an egg shape. Day and night were like wobbly and not even anymore, and it was like sucked in by the black hole. So it's, I don't know, you think like, oh, she's crazy, but I thought a little book, and I lent it to someone. It's good. I think it's good, and it could be that there are atmospheric issues, because a lot of people, I hear from people that are into the sun and sunspots and solar flares. It has an effect on Earth, and we are talking for a long time. We've been talking about polar shifts. You don't believe it? No, but you know, the story went also like even methane was coming out of the Earth, and people were like really, I mean, forgive me, but they were vomiting their intestines out. It was like really horrible story, but it's not that we are facing this. It's, I mean, okay, so it's like very exaggerated, and it can be that methane is coming out when the climate shift and the pole shifting, so the climate will be different in different locations, water levels and all this. And with that, maybe the methane under the tundra will be set free and we breathe it in, and maybe it is not good. I mean, we went through quite some challenges over the past years, and I mean, we are resilient, we can adapt, and I mean, we are here to face. We can go through it. We will not be here. We would not be here, and we are equipped with everything. And I have a strong belief in that. So no matter what, and I don't think that it will wipe us off the earth. So here now we look at people, our beloved dictator. Yes. 2025, that is the one. That is the one with the pole shift. Maybe, let's see, I have to move this up. Okay. Yeah, so maybe it's the pole flip. We don't know. And it's a good thing, because that kind of stuff we don't want to know, really. And, you know, I mean, we may transform by then. This is like, we may totally be like adapted. So please do not be scared. I should maybe have not said that, but it's whatever comes, we are able to maneuver through it. We have been. I mean, there were world wars, tsunamis. Okay, so our beloved dictator. I'm sorry, I shouldn't take sides or not sides. We astrologers should be like really like neutral. But okay, but it's an interesting, colorful person to look at. So he has 5 Chuen, which is monkey or artisan, and he's intelligent. He is willful. He is also like, he has force and initiation of rituals. Okay, so that's what they give. Okay, so this is the Ho is the Lord of the number 5. So purification, ceremonies, removing impurities is a good thing. Spiritual rebirth, used for good or ill, and here it starts. Everybody has their free will, and a couple of signs are they're like two signs I remember were like you can use it for good or bad, and others were just only good or other only challenging. Okay, so it depends the stage of consciousness, good for inner earth. And then Chuen, the monkey, clever, demonstrative, performer, actor, craftsman, attention seeker and getter, successful, short attention span, I don't know, and strong sexual drive, I don't know. And his Trecena, Manik, is peaceful. It's the Manik was the hunter, deer and hunter. So of course a deer is like the peaceful animal in the forest, and it's peaceful, struggle with, it's all about freedom and roaming and being the hunter out in the world or being secure and at home. So that's the deer issue always, nomad versus home life. Promotes equality of sexes. I mean, that makes sense somewhat. The other things, I don't know. I'm putting it out for us to get our feet wet, and also I appreciate your feedback, what you think, oh no, that does not make sense. Or yeah, that fits. And the his birth year, 8 South Ebb. So it's good for business and health. Leaders' emotion, again, leaders' emotions are leading to challenges, rain damaging crops. We had that before, it's always coming back. Receiving useful advice. So maybe he gets good input from others. And the number 8, Wakshak, debt problems, initial luck going bad. So do you think he will be running for president in 2024?
No.
I don't know. We don't know. I don't know either. And Newsom, Gavin Newsom. No, I'm interested also. We should look at it. And he is a very charming person. Yeah. Yes. On top of it. Yes. Beautiful family. Yep. Yeah, we all have our luggage to carry, right? Okay, so Venus is a morning star in his birth makeup. Temptation to break ethical boundaries, falling from grace, selfishness, strong personal drive. So maybe he curbs it, maybe not. And Night Lord is G6, business head, practical, disciplined, self-sufficient, hard worker, achiever, motivated. Our next example has the same Night Lord. So what do you think? Does it kind of make sense for you guys? Yes. It was just a lot of computer programs ran out. The Maya did not look at that. No, the calendar, that is the whole thing. But in 2012, that was the end date. Only the calendar was, the long count ended, and a couple of other, that was about this convergence. Is it time? No. Oh, almost 8. Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay, good. Yeah, so he was just asking.
2012, I talked to the man who wrote the book about what was supposed to happen in 2012. And I said, did you do the eclipse cycle that the Mayans do? And he said, no. And I said, oh, well, then you're not actually understanding Mayan astrology, because that eclipse cycle was one of the most important things that they followed. So unless someone was actually watching that eclipse cycle, then any prediction they were giving to me was worthless.
Yeah. Well,
so 2012, nothing happened.
No, but it was just the end of the long count calendar. In 2000, I would need to do some research on Mayan eclipses. I saw the table, but 2012. Okay, yeah, and that was the Venus occultation also. Yeah, a lot came together then.
In the Gregorian calendar, you need to repeat whatever I say, remember?
No.
He does it.
I'm turning on this mic, that's why I'm her, so that they
There is a difference between the Gregorian calendar and the calendar we use now. And that could be where part of the issue is, that our calendar dates are off.
Yeah. Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
It starts already with Aquarius, where you have.
Should have started right at that time.
I have trust that this Mayan calendar, that this is when they started. I would rather trust that one.
No.
Because we had the Julian, and then we switched to the Gregorian, because every leader thought like, I want to have a calendar in my name, and then
obviously these transits that we're working with, repeat whatever I say.
no, he hasn't.
It is working.
Yeah.
It actually does work. We can get something down to a moment in time, so we know whatever our data is correct.
Yeah, I need to look into eclipses of the Mayan, the eclipse.
Right, because they were famous, more famous than any other culture for that one.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately I have not put it in here, but I look into that. I'm like fired up now. Yep. Okay, so this is the next one. Good old Vladimir Putin, and he also is a Libra. He is.
Yes, I know. I thought the same thing. I went, no way.
Yeah. He's a Libra. Yeah. So
He's a sign war. Libra is.
Good. Yeah, it's a very a dual. And we know, I mean, Libra, we just looked at Venus, right? We looked at Venus, and it's not the most loving and peaceful in the Mayan. Yeah, now we are looking at Putin, and Putin.
Those libraries, what are you picking on libraries?
It was just, I thought, oh, he's also, I did not make it on purpose. I just wanted a person from Europe, and I wanted like people that we are all, we can relate to. I looked at Amber Heard. I'm fascinated by what that woman does, and she represents the dark side of Venus and the South Node in Scorpio so well. And I've been fascinated what that woman really does. Amber Heard, she was married to yeah, but it's interesting, and I did her thing, and everything was like, oh, nice and glamourful, and it was nothing really like, oh, she's like a witch or so. Nope. But in the Night Lord, that came totally out, like her behavior. Okay, I have to wrap up. I think I'm getting not okay. Oh, I see. Good. Alrighty. Okay, so it's a Libra again, but he has different influences, a couple. So he is actually 10 Ok. Ok is dog, foot, and the number 10 is Lahun, the god, changes, repeating cycles, reciprocity, Kimi, death, good luck, and fortunate. So it's a fortunate number, one of the higher numbers. Then we have the dog is loyal, committed, guiding, cooperative, likes to roam, group instinct, and territorial. You cannot say anything else than that. He loves his country and his people. He does. Yes. Yeah, Western.
Coming to ascend it, and there's a whole lot of people now want to kill him.
I know.
They're governors and whatever, they want to kill him.
I know a lot. I mean, like,
my prediction was that maybe by November he's out.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, I had my progressed Pluto crossing over my ascendant, and my dad died.
Well, usually it does represent a death. It's a solar arc Pluto.
Oh, mine was solar arc, right? Not progressed. Oh God, progressed Pluto. Yeah, right.
You've never done that.
Yeah.
We haven't even had that in the US. That won't happen.
Retrograde, and everybody else in the house except Mas.
I think the most important thing on these two men, they're both womanizers.
Womanizer? Oh, is he? And here it comes. We get there. Okay, so I continue, and then we get to your point exactly. So, instinct to nurture others. He nurtures his folk, his citizens. You cannot say anything else. Tribal bonds intensified. Deep feelers, protective. Yep, I think I agree. 6 is the year. 6 is Kaban. Creative, bold initiatives. Progress, thinking, leading. 6 Wak, so the number 6. Indecision in business, but good for love. And indecision in business, I'm pretty sure he has good advisors. Even, I mean, Libra does not make. Yeah, right. I remember this long table. Yep. Okay, his Venus is an evening star, insightful, humble. I mean, he appears totally humble, I would say. Improving, correcting, collaboration, collective purpose. I think that fits. But then, yeah, this is good for love. So, and then the Night Lord, he has the same than Gavin Newsom. So hopefully you don't throw stones. And so energies of November 3rd, 2020. The day was under 5-ish. Number 5 is whole, intelligent, will, force, initiation ritual, god of inner earth. And then the sign ich is karma, underworld, indirect, private, intelligent, psychic, good planning, investigating, cryptic communications, and deep involvements, entanglements, basically. So the Trecena of that day, it was within the Trecena of one Ok, which is dog, loyal to the cause, dedicated for life. The year of 2022, creative. Why am I there twice? Oh, you put this on there also. Is there nobody else on Zoom? Oh, okay.
Yeah, everybody, I just have those 2 years that you can see yourself.
I see myself every time in the mirror. Well, okay, so back to serious business. So Trecena, and then the year. Okay, so 2020, creative, bold initiatives, progress, abundance, thinking, leading. So it's all heady. Venus phase, morning star, initiations and all this. Quick to start or quick to act, testing society's limits. Night Lord, G3 East, power seeking, working under shadow of another authority. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't agree. I have heard a lot and I've seen a lot, and I say the sudden F spike that we had in the US elections, and I saw that they took videos of people stuffing a lot of mail-in ballots in the ballot in the containers, and I know for sure that there was problems with the voting software and the machines. So
You're an astrologer.
yeah, it's a naked look, but here's something to bring us all together again. Beautiful the codices. I think they're just gorgeous. The Mayan New Year. Then we have the celestial bands, and I blow it up a little because here you can see this Scorpio. And it's pretty much what I can see. Of course, I cannot read them. So here, with our circle in those days in Mexico, we always thought, I wonder whether they try to picture like a like an astronaut in an aircraft or so, in a spacecraft. The blue one. Yeah. So it's called the Astronomer. It's from the Madrid Codex. One more. And so this is the table of Venus. So they looked at Venus, they looked at Mars, and they had, this is the eclipse table, but I wish, Laura, I could read it. The eclipse table. And conclusion. So as I said, I brought it all together in one document, and hopefully this serves and it makes it attractive for you to work with it. As I said, it takes work. It takes a lot of, like, also enlarging the library, the vocabulary on this. As I said, the burner days, I think, is a brilliant thing. It's very good for personal relationships, for tribal belongings. And what I thought was the coolest, whenever I worked with this calendar, I like the natural way, because I lived in the jungle. So the last 3 years when I lived in Mexico, when I built the house, I lived actually in the jungle. I had 6 months, no electricity. I was there by myself. So with machete, we opened the jungle. I had helpers. We built the house. I was there totally alone. Only with birds, with crickets, with all the jungle animals, with little running. And I had only iron protectors with mosquito netting. You're exposed. And I tell you what, I had tarantulas coming. I had like just a path. She was jumping away to make me room. It's amazing. And the nature knows its rhythm. It's us that come like, oh, we make 28 days in February, and every for years we make it 29, and the summertime and wintertime, I hate it so much, you have no idea. It's almost like a little jacklet always. Why, you know? Okay, so in Europe they say, oh, we want to save energy, so we don't have to heat the schools that long in the wintertime. I don't know. I think we should just go to natural timing. So here's all the contacts for the people that I mentioned: Bruce Schofield and Barry Orr. He did the software, and he was so nice. I have to also say, Barry. So I asked Bruce, and he says Barry is sending you all this book goes to 2020. So yeah. You can see on the screen above you. So. Yeah. So it's really cool. It's a thick book, and then all the tables for up to 2015. So if you guys want a reading, I'm happy to help you. So all the like the Venus cycles and the Trecenas and everything up to until 2050. So that's Bruce, and then another Kenneth Johnson. He's actually a timekeeper and astrologer. He worked with, oh, I wonder, was it a very well-known that we also know, Gutman. I forgot her first name, but she's a known Ariel Goodman, yes. And so jaguarwisdom.org, Ian Chalungold, an artist, visionary. And as I said, he had the different date. John Kaleman that I said, also scientist. He's a scientist. Jose Arguelles was no astrologer either, but he was art and history professor, visionary. And he was one day off the calendar because he did not look at the leap year. Law of Time, where you can also download the calendar and your dream spell. John Major Jenkins wrote extensively on this topic. Kovo, it's like really funny, makes it really easy to understand too. And Abraham Castro. So he's like he does dance and poetry, and El Tesoro de Quetzalcoatl. And then yeah, if you have questions, Yumbotik, which is Maya for thank you.
We have Janet Sutton online with
a
question.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm gonna tell her to ask her to unmute.
Yes.
Janet, go ahead and unmute yourself if you choose to ask a question of
Don't worry, Mercury retrograde.
So Janet, go ahead and ask your question. Turn up your volume on your end.
On one of the slides you had, it looked like a plastic set of wheels, like a miniature computer. Can you rotate that to find days?
Yeah, is that this one or?
Yes, that one.
Oh, I see. So she's asking the plastic thing that looks like a computer. Is this the one, Janet?
It's what?
Is this the correct one that I
yes,
have on?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so the plastic thing, this is what they have in a museum in Chetumal. And I took the picture of the wall, but you can say like a computer in a way, yes, because you see the number, which is 5, 10, 11. So it's 11. And see, I don't have all the day signs in my head either. So I would have to look that also up. I think it's night or seed.
What are the computations on the far right in the red?
That, I see. Okay, so that is the computations on the far right.
Well, I mean, what form is that?
Yeah, okay, so that could be, you know what, I'm not certain, but I would say the Uinales.
Or the Hob?
The Uinales, which are the more months, like the 18. Because
okay.
these are 13. These are the 13. So, and then these are the day signs. The how do I say it? Like where I'm using the cursor. The cursor goes on the orange outer rim, and these are the day signs. Then this is Trecena, and I believe this must be the Uinales, but I'm not certain, I have to say.
Okay. Good enough for now.
Yeah, because yes, okay, so because it's on the left side, Janet, it's the same. The question was, what is the right here, the right crank? It must be the hub. That means that you have on the comic drawing, the hub calendar with 4 pop, 3 pop, 2 pop, 1 pop, and then Uayep. So that is then the Uinales.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't see anybody else in the chat area that has asked a question. So,
Any questions? So, yes. Yeah, 13 years full-time, but I still go there all the time. Oh, what part? Yucatan Peninsula, so that is Cancun, half an hour south, Puerto Morelos, and then inland, 15 minutes inland. It's called Central Vallarta on the Ruta de Cenotes. And I have nine years I lived in Playa del Carmen. But it's, yeah, totally. I'm a single woman. I live by myself in the jungle. Yeah. It depends. When you play on the other side of law and you ask for drugs or so, you may end up with shadier people. Yeah, when you're like the party animals that say like they buy drug, or when they have the rave parties or so, that's different. But police or the military, they make sure it's safe. There was a rating because I run tourism. Or yeah, I do still. I'm kind of so. What you eat? Ceviche and ceviche and fruits. The fruits are the juices, delicious. Food is really good. Chicken, fish, fresh fish out of the ocean in your bag. What's that? No, the Maya mummies from the back. Yes. My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
A lot of work you did. Well, I'm going to have to organize this in my mind, because there was the day of, the week of, the year of, and the moon cycle, which was the 13 cycle. Now, some of the most famous people in the world right now are trying to study this calendar and the codex. They are actually trying to do it. It was on Netflix, and I was shocked at how they were all these different not astrologers, but timekeepers who were trying to figure this out. And I thought they need an astrologer to come in and look at this also and figure out our cycles in comparison. But they're also using a 360 degree. It's not a year, but it's close to a year. Our 360 is our wheel. Then we have the 5 holy days, which makes our 365. So I kind of understand some of it. I understand the 13, and I do understand the day. I don't understand the night part of it. But I know that this is valuable information. And I did know Bruce Schofield along with Jose Aguilas. And these were highly respected people who actually saw this calendar as a new way of looking at an old subject, but it might give us a lot of information. The only thing that's missing on this lecture is that eclipse cycle. You've got it in there, you just don't know how to read it, nor do I or any of us. But that eclipse cycle is what they were known for. They had an eclipse cycle down to the minute, and our computers weren't able to do it until recently. Were we able to calculate the same information that they already had? So how did they have that already? My point being that they had knowledge that we didn't, and it's really important to value what Stefanie's just presented. A lot of information for all of us to try to figure it out, but I think it's well worth it to take that moment in time to do it. Now, I welcome all of you. Next month, we have Maurice Fernandez coming in. As you know, he's an excellent speaker. No, from this point until Madame Rosa comes in, there's only a few of us who actually show up in person anymore. The rest of them they want to do Zoom. So, which is nice because we get to see it like this, and we get to all have dinner together and kind of have a good time. So anyway, I thank all of you for coming tonight and being part of this. And your name is up there right now, Janet. Oh, only me. Okay. Yeah, I look pretty bad there, though. Yeah, make me look better. Any announcements that anybody has that they want to share?
All right. That's the fourth Thursday at Alchemy Astrologer. You're more than welcome to come join us. Check it out. If you'd like to come, see. I've spent a lot of time in it. Half the class is me talking about Arthur's theories, and the other half of the class is Arthur actually explaining what I just explained. But you know, I think I do a better job, but I'll let you be the judge. Also, I have a site called Astrologer School that I post a lot of neat articles on. Yeah, I got astrologerschool.com, folks. Yes, I did. And I also got astrology posters, but that isn't up yet. So thank you so much.
I feel like offering people also that, because I'm running tours also. So if anyone has interest, I'd love to take people down. I have my house. We have upstairs Palapa. We can have a workshop, astrology workshop. Maybe invite a shaman. Exactly. Huh? Cerveza, si tú quieres también. O pulque. Yeah. So everyone who's into that, let me know. Contact me. You have that everything in the document.
Okay, yeah, do Mayan astrology there. Also, I am selling the book tonight. That Stefanie helped me. That I swear to God, I would have never got this out without Stefanie helping me. Even though I did do it 20 years earlier, the problem was dealing with Amazon. The technology of getting it on and all that and what you have to do. But anyway, it's all done. It is on Amazon. You can order it. I thank everybody for coming tonight. And we are off to the Wild Blue. Next month is Maurice Fernandez. I don't remember. It's on Meetup though, if you want to look. And he is an excellent lecturer.
Cycles of Saturn and Pluto.
Wow, nice.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Goodbye. From SoCal, goodbye.